Welcome to my channel, Worldwise. I don't think people understand just how much one person can change the world. In 2013, a name exploded onto the world stage, Edward Snowden. Practically overnight he became the center of a global storm. His face and story splashed across every major news outlet. The world watched as a single individual challenged the most powerful intelligence agencies on the planet, and the consequences would ripple far beyond that year. Snowden was just 29, a relatively unknown intelligence contractor quietly working behind the scenes, but he made a decision that would change his life, and the world, forever. He exposed the vast secret surveillance system built by the US and its allies, revealing how governments were collecting data on millions of ordinary people without their knowledge. Snowden's revelations forced a global reckoning with privacy, security, and state power in the digital age. Suddenly people everywhere began to question how much of their lives were truly private, and what governments were doing in the name of security. Overnight he became both a celebrated whistleblower and a condemned traitor. Some hailed him as a hero who stood up for civil liberties, while others saw him as a criminal who endangered national security. The world was sharply divided, and the debate was fierce. Before Snowden, government surveillance was just a suspicion whispered among privacy advocates. After his disclosures, it was an undeniable fact. The scale and reach of these programs shocked even the most skeptical observers. His disclosures ignited a debate about the balance between national security and individual liberty, a debate that still rages today in parliaments, courtrooms, and living rooms around the world. Laws were challenged, policies were rewritten, and the public demanded answers. Snowden's legacy is complex, shaping every conversation about encryption, privacy, and government transparency. His actions forced technology companies to rethink security and inspired a new generation to care about digital rights. To understand today's world, we must understand the man who risked everything to reveal its hidden truths. Snowden's story is not just about one man, it's about the power of information, the courage to speak out, and the ongoing struggle to define freedom in the digital era. Snowden's leaks to The Guardian and The Washington Post in June 2013 revealed the PRISM program, giving the NSA direct access to tech giants like Google, Facebook, and Apple. The NSA wasn't just targeting suspects, it was collecting emails, photos, and chats from millions worldwide. The leaks exposed global operations, including hacking foreign networks and even monitoring allied leaders like Germany's Angela Merkel. The Five Eyes Alliance, US, UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand shared intelligence, bypassing domestic laws. Tools like NoseSmurf could remotely activate microphones and track locations, making spy fiction a daily reality. Snowden's documents proved mass surveillance was real, not just a conspiracy theory. Snowden's path into the intelligence world was anything but ordinary. Unlike many who followed a traditional route through elite universities or military academies, his journey began in the shadows of uncertainty and self-discovery. As a high school dropout, Snowden didn't have the credentials that typically open doors in Washington. But what he lacked in formal education, he made up for with relentless curiosity and a natural gift for computers. He spent countless nights teaching himself programming, exploring the depths of the internet, and mastering complex systems on his own terms. Driven by a sense of duty, he briefly joined the army, hoping to serve his country. But a training injury ended that dream almost as soon as it began. Undeterred, Snowden found work as a security guard at an NSA facility, a humble position but one that placed him at the threshold of the intelligence community. His technical prowess didn't go unnoticed for long. Within a few years, Snowden's skills propelled him into the heart of the CIA, where he was entrusted with managing network security. Here, he gained access to some of the most sensitive and classified systems in the world, learning the inner workings of America's digital defenses. Later, as a contractor for major firms like Dell and Booz Allen Hamilton, Snowden's expertise became indispensable. He was assigned to top-secret NSA projects, working alongside some of the brightest minds in cybersecurity, and was trusted with information that few ever see. His role as a system administrator in Hawaii marked the pinnacle of his access. With the highest security clearance, Snowden could move through the agency's digital core, overseeing the very systems that stored the nation's most guarded secrets. System administrators like Snowden are the invisible guardians of the digital realm, trusted insiders who can navigate networks without raising suspicion, their movements hidden in plain sight. Over time, he developed a deep understanding of the NSA's sprawling architecture. This knowledge made him uniquely powerful, able to see not just how the system worked but also where its vulnerabilities lay. Snowden wasn't an outsider hacking his way in from afar. He was the ultimate insider, trusted to protect the very secrets he would one day choose to expose. His position gave him the keys to the kingdom and the responsibility that came with it. The transformation from high school dropout to digital gatekeeper was nothing short of remarkable. Each step along the way, Snowden's skills and access grew, setting the stage for one of the most significant intelligence leaks in history. Ultimately, it was this unprecedented access, and a conscience troubled by what he saw, that would lead Snowden to make a decision that changed the world forever. Snowden's data heist wasn't about hacking, it was about exploiting trust. As a system administrator, he already had root access to the NSA's most sensitive networks. He used outdated systems and late-night hours in Hawaii to quietly copy files when oversight was minimal. The tools were simple: USB drives and SD cards, often banned but rarely enforced. Over weeks he disguised his actions as routine maintenance, slowly accumulating secrets. In May 2013, Snowden requested medical leave for epilepsy, then flew to Hong Kong with the files. He walked out of one of the world's most secure facilities with its deepest secrets, without triggering alarms. His escape was as calculated as his theft. The world would soon learn what he had taken. Snowden began his career as a true believer in the intelligence mission, driven by a sense of duty and patriotism. He was proud to serve, convinced that his work protected his fellow citizens from real threats. But as the months passed, his faith began to erode. He witnessed firsthand the scale of mass, indiscriminate surveillance. Ordinary people's private lives swept up in secret programs far beyond what he'd imagined. The gap between the agency's stated mission and its actual practices grew impossible to ignore. Snowden placed his hopes in President Obama, believing that a new administration would roll back the excesses of the Bush era. Instead, he watched in dismay as surveillance programs not only continued but expanded. The promises of reform faded, replaced by a sense of betrayal. The final straw came in March 2013. Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, under oath before Congress, flatly denied that the NSA collected data on millions of Americans. Snowden, who had seen the evidence with his own eyes, knew this was a lie broadcast to the nation. For Snowden, this public lie was more than a political maneuver. It shattered the social contract between government and citizen. It was a moment of profound disillusionment. He realized the government wasn't just spying, it was actively deceiving its own people and even Congress. The institutions meant to provide oversight were being misled, and the truth was hidden behind layers of secrecy. Convinced that meaningful reform would never come from within, Snowden made a fateful decision. He would risk everything: his career, his freedom, his future, to expose the truth. His goal was never to harm the United States. Instead, he wanted to inform the public, to spark a necessary debate about the balance between security and privacy, and to restore accountability. Snowden believed that democracy cannot function without transparency. Citizens cannot give meaningful consent to policies they don't even know exist. For him, secrecy was the enemy of self-government. He saw himself not as a traitor but as a whistleblower, someone returning secrets to their rightful owners, the people. In his mind, the public deserved to know what was being done in their name. Snowden's actions were driven not by personal gain, but by a conscience awakened by deceit, a determination to do what he believed was right, no matter the cost. The Snowden leaks shattered illusions of privacy worldwide. Suddenly, the fear of being watched was backed by undeniable proof. Public outrage and anxiety erupted as people learned their data was being collected en masse. Tech giants faced backlash and responded by strengthening encryption and pushing for reform. Internationally, the leaks strained alliances and forced governments to answer tough questions. In the US, the revelations led to the USA Freedom Act and the first major surveillance reforms in decades. People became more privacy conscious, changing habits and adopting new security measures. Snowden's disclosures ended digital innocence, making privacy a fight, not an assumption. After meeting journalists in Hong Kong, Snowden became the target of a global manhunt. Charged under the Espionage Act, he faced decades in prison if caught. With WikiLeaks' help, he fled to Moscow, but the US revoked his passport mid-flight, trapping him in the airport. Russia granted him temporary asylum, straining US-Russia relations. Over the years, his asylum was extended, and in 2020, he received Russian citizenship. Snowden built a life in Moscow, speaking out remotely on privacy and government transparency. He remains a fugitive, a symbol of defiance living under the protection of a US rival. His exile is a constant reminder of the price of whistleblowing. The world still debates his fate. Edward Snowden's legacy is deeply divisive. Some hail him as a patriot who exposed government overreach and sparked global reform. Supporters credit him with new privacy laws, widespread encryption, and holding intelligence agencies accountable. Others call him a traitor who endangered national security and fled to a US adversary. Critics argue he should have used official channels, not leaked secrets. Over a decade later, the debate rages on. Was Snowden's law-breaking justified by a higher moral duty? His story forces us to ask, is true patriotism loyalty to government or to the principles it's meant to uphold? Ultimately, whether Snowden is hero or traitor depends on what you value more, security or freedom. My next video is out now, watch it next.